And no complaints here, my friend. It is your Classic Metal Show right here on the ClassicMetalShow.com. No, that wasn't the Eagles. I'm sure you didn't mistake that for the Eagles. That, of course, was the mighty Jorn Lande from his new record, Heavy Rock Radio. And on the line right now, we have the legendary vocalist himself, Mr. Jorn Lande. Jorn, how are you, man?
I'm fine, man. Great to be on the show, man.
Excellent. Well, Jorn, I have to say, when I got this release, I was absolutely not ready for what I got. I have a million questions to ask you, and it's really mostly about song selection. You know, there's things in here that I think people could, I don't want to say expect, but, you know, like Rainbow in the Dark, not exactly a stunning one from you. But,
no, I mean, you know, I wanted to include some songs that were, you know, classic songs that is, you know, that's more like typically me, or, you know, that I would do something that I would do, you know, people would expect me to do so. But, you know, I had a list of 40, 50 songs basically, and I had to choose 12 to 15 songs in the end. So it was difficult. Just wanted to make the right flow, you know, to make the album
sure,
kind of. You know, I mean, it's songs that I grew up with. Most of them. Some are, you know, like the Final Frontier. It's not that old, but still a song that I thought, you know, would fit the album. It kind of had the original Maiden versions. You know, it sounds more rough, and my idea was, you know, to do this song. I mean, it's not a typical Maiden song, really. It's
sure.
It's more. I think the verses reminds me of something melodic rock kind of thing. You know, something from the end of the 70s, maybe early 80s, and that's what I kind of, you know. That's why I included that song. I usually do songs that speak to me. If I get an idea instantly, then there's something about it. You know, then I hear something in my mind, and I just try to, you know, make it happen, you know, and that's what I did. Some of the old songs, like I Know There's Something Going On, and the Kate Bush song, Running Up That Hill. That's, I mean, these songs, they are kind of, you know, songs that I thought would lend themselves to heavy rock in a way.
Sure.
They're kind of they're very natural songs. It's almost like, you know, it's almost like Russ Ballard wrote I Know There's Something Going On as a rock song to begin with, but, you know, at the time it was, you know, commercial, and Phil Collins produced the original version, and, you know, so I mean, I used, you know, heavy drums. He played drums on it as well. So I mean, it's actually a pretty heavy track, and
sure,
it was easy to, you know, convert that into you know, a more heavy rock tune. So
sure,
yeah.
Definitely. Now, the song I gotta ask more than any other song on the record, the Paul Stanley "Live to Win" cover. I don't think anybody since that record came out in whatever it was, 2006 or whatever, has ever considered covering one of those when you've got 300 Kiss songs that you could have chose from.
Of course. Well, it's again, you know, about songs that speak to me, you know, somehow, and. That song it's a great song. It has a positive message. I thought the original version was you know, great. Paul's great. So, I mean, his trademark is, you know, his sound is unique. But the thing is, sometimes you feel that some songs are, you know, a bit late, you know, in a way, you know, coming out a bit late. That song to me was something that I would expect to hear from a band like, for example, Evanescence or something. But it kind of came out a few years too late. That's my opinion. Because when I listened to the production and everything, I thought, this is really good, but, you know, it's still obvious that this is meant to be sort of modern and to kind of fit into what was the modern metal scene back then. So, and I just thought that, what about doing this song, you know, a bit more, you know, powerful, and make it rock out a bit more, you know, not considering, you know, what's modern or what's the new thing. So basically that's what I did, and it still sounds pretty new and different from the original and very powerful. So I mean, it's good. It's a commercial song. So
Sure.
it's also very repetitive. So things repeat all the time. So that's why I made a build up. Changing the key for the chorus, and it's like you do the Eurovision recipe.
Sure.
Yeah. So sometimes it works, sometimes it's cheesy, but for that song, I think it was great because it made a difference to the whole thing. It made it more exciting,
Sure.
more of a build up. So,
Now,
yeah, I mean, it's a good song. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, Jorn, you're no stranger to doing covers. Obviously, you had the Dio record where you covered the great Ronnie James Dio, and you've done many covers over the years. For you personally, somebody that has done a lot of cover songs as well as your own work, how do you decide, I guess, between sticking close to the original and adding your own flavor? Does that come naturally, or do you really have to sit down and think, well, I don't want it to be too far away from the original, but I want to add my own flavor to it?
Oh, I love music in general, so I just love a good song, and if I hear a good song, I always think about the song in a Jornish way, my own way. So it's kind of there's always a bit more energy to most of the arrangements that come to my mind, when I consider doing a song. So and that's. I sometimes feel that things are, held back a bit. People try to hold back because they want it to be, good for radio or good for something. I think when I do a song, I don't consider that at all. Some of these songs on Heavy Rock Radio are so commercial from before and so well known that very melodic. So I mean, even if you try to make it less commercial in a way, even if you have arrange some kind of progressive arrangement, and you make a structure that's not really typical, then it's still the melody is so strong and so catchy that the tune itself, it carries itself anyway. So, and that's what I'm doing basically. I just try to make it interesting, and not considering what's popular or what's trendy or modern. So
Right.
Just trying to make a cool thing. And that's when I grew up. You had all these great people. It's like players. Talking about the guitarists, for example, you had not just Eddie Van Halen and Randy Rhoads, but you had all these other guys as well. You had a certain talent. There was a certain quality to most guitarists, The same that developed later. I mean, if you listen to Zakk Wylde's stuff, I mean, he's, it's kind of like a developed version of what happened before, but it's still, very classic. And you see the same with my good friend Gus G, who's, really a good guitar player, but, he's still developed somehow into something a bit more modern, but still he's very classic in the way he plays. Mm-hmm. Especially when he's when you hear him playing some of the old Ozzy stuff, and so I think in general I just look for that kind of attitude,
sure,
and that kind of expression when I work with people. So on this album you have a great drummer, Francesco Jovino from Italy. Great guy. He's one of the few ones that play in that classic style that not many people do anymore. So I mean, you have guys like Vinny Appice, you have Simon Wright, you have a few people like Cozy Powell or Bobby Rondinelli, all these guys who has or who have that kind of skill. It's a different kind of it's almost like a tribal or almost like a native thing, going back to the roots and back to something primitive, but at the same time very hard hitting and very groovy. It's playing with the body, playing from the heart, and adding something to a song, and that's something that we're missing today. So every time I'm thinking about a song, regardless of writing a song myself or if I'm covering another artist, I always try to consider those aspects of the whole thing, to get the right expression on everything, right people to play it. So
sure.
Make it as strong as possible, and that way of playing, when you have that kind of groove, right breaks all the time, the really cool interaction between the guitars and the drums and everybody. So then it's kind of it's like when you mentioned Ronnie James Dio, it's like what he used to say, you're only as good as the band you're with,
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm trying to think all the time. You need the right people to play certain things, and of course I sometimes come up with certain ideas, and I want them to try to follow that structure, but they also take it to a new level. Most of the time I just give them some idea, and I have an idea for the tempo or like a basic riff kind of thing, and I just illustrate that to them, and they will go off, and then they will make something that's usually much more interesting than what I thought in the beginning. But it's good to have that basic structure, which kind of leads everybody into a certain musical landscape, and then they go off from there. So yeah, that's what I do, and it's pretty natural. It's not really difficult. It's just it takes some time to do it, but as long as you enjoy it and you love the songs. Some of these songs are with me since I was young, and it's like you grow.
Mm-hmm.
To be a part of the songs, like they're your own songs. So, yeah.
Sure. But the one thing that's unique about you, Jorn, is that you do change directions quite a bit. I'll go back to your last record, to the Dracula record, the Swing of Death.
Yeah.
That's a completely different animal than anything I think that we've heard from your career at all. That had to be somewhat of a putting yourself into a different mindset to do that as well, no?
Yeah, well, it's that was also a challenging thing. It took some time to make the record, but the original idea actually to begin with came from my guitar player Jorn Holter, who was a great player, a great talent, and he has a great talent for melody, and at the same time, he's also a very technical player. It's like one foot in the old days and one foot in the new modern, rock, metal, and metal scene. So the best of both worlds, really. He sent me a couple of demos a few years ago, and he actually had an idea to do this kind of vampire concept. But back then, Dracula was not even mentioned. So the thing was, he had this idea that this band would go on tour, and they would, choose their victims on the road, and this would be there would be like this an investigation going on, and then like a detective thing, but the years went by, and eventually, when he presented this idea to me, I just thought, we are over flooded, or with this kind of modern vampire thing. We have like Twilight series, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, all these things that emerged out of the millennium, and we have so many things used already. So I think what I wanted to do was to write something different and use the basic idea that he had. Some of the demos he sent me, some of the music, it was really cool. And I just thought, why not go back to the original Bram Stoker story and and try to pick that up again, because the last time I really saw something or interesting about Dracula, I must have been with the movie with Gary Oldman,
Okay.
By Francis Ford Coppola back in, when was it?
The 90s.
92.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think 92. But that was really cool. And so what we did basically was, to think, that it's actually more original to bring Dracula, back. So I thought that was a cool thing, and nobody really did it in music. Maybe somebody did a song or they had some idea, but as far as I know, there's not any like pure Dracula record that's based on in rock. So we thought, this is also something that's not done before, or at least not a well-known attempt. So from the past, so we, I looked for it on the internet, and I thought, well, this is, nobody's done that.
Sure.
I can't find anything. Maybe there's somebody somewhere, but like I said, not very well known. So I thought this is something, something new in a way, and it's something that we should do. So that's basically how it happened. I sat down and read some chapters of the Dracula book, watched the movie Nosferatu with Klaus Kinski, a German actor, and an old movie from '79 directed by a famous guy called Werner Herzog.
Okay.
Very very European, very German. So
sure.
You probably never saw it, but
No.
If you do, you're gonna like it, because it's totally crazy. The actor Klaus Kinski is totally, he's doing that part so well that, and same time it's creepy, but same time it's funny.
Sure.
In a way, but very very cool mood and very well made, the movie for that time. So, but anyway, and then of course we knew the movie with Gary Oldman, and I think just to do that from a different angle, instead of telling the story about Van Helsing and Barker going to Transylvania, and on all these things, that it's just I didn't want to just tell the story. So I thought, what about just trying to put myself in the position of being Dracula? How would it be, living forever, thirsting for blood? I mean, would you be tired of it? Everybody's dying. Everybody's dying around you.
Right.
How does it? I mean, he can't really feel love or anything, but he still remembers how it was to be a human.
Right.
And he remembers when he was in love, and Mina, his first true love. So he still has some, recognition of everything. So in a way, he's, battling his inner demons. That's what I thought was, he's doing that anyway in both the original story and in the movies I watched. But I thought, to focus more on that. Rather than telling the story, step by step. So, but there are like bits and pieces, in the whole record where you can understand the whole story, in a way, from beginning to end. So, yeah, that was cool. Yeah. It came out great. Well, I think, yeah.
Sure, definitely did. Well, Jorn, and speaking of things that have come out great, for people that are interested, you do have this new record. It's called Heavy Rock Radio. And Jorn, as a tradition on the show, we always let the artist pick a closing track from the new record to kind of wrap the interview up with. So, what should we end this with? And maybe tell us a quick story about why you chose that song on your record.
Well, I think we should. I think we should play. Running Up That Hill, actually.
Okay.
Because it's a great track, and I know that also Kate Bush was never really that popular in the US. So I think that song really deserves to be played, because it's just a great song, and she's also a great artist. And I think the version we did, it's one of the best attempts on that record, I think, to do something new, and it really shows that it's possible to put your own your own brand on a cover song. So yeah, that's why.
All right, well, let's check it out right now. This is Running Up That Hill. It is Jorn right here on your Classic Metal Show.